Welcome back to the show, Xtra Rich. We got a tragedy here today. We got a pretty sad one, man. So, yeah, let's jump right on into it, all right?
This is a Fox News alert. The FBI has joined the investigation into the deadly shooting in New York City that killed 4 people, including an off-duty NYPD officer. The gunman was identified as 27-year-old Shane Tamura from Las Vegas, who has a history of mental illness.
Retired FBI agent Jason Pack joins us now. Jason, the Post is reporting that the gunman was carrying a note that cites the NFL and blamed football for his apparent struggle with CTE. He also asked that his brain be studied. Now, the NFL has offices here on floors 5 through 8. Are you hearing anything from your sources in the FBI throughout law enforcement as to why this guy ended up going to the 33rd floor?
Not yet. That's one of the major questions investigators have this morning as they work overnight to piece together this senseless murder that happened out there. And we've heard of CTE, Todd, with the NFL players and the concussions. And so for some reason, there's something triggered him. There's some kind of grievance that triggered him or perceived grievance, whether that was against a particular person or the NFL. That's still what investigators are trying to learn this morning. And the reason we just don't know why the elevator got off on that particular floor. A lot of times in most of the buildings in New York, you can see you get on an elevator and it's only one floor and, somebody else determines where the elevator goes. It's not like in the movies where you push all the buttons, where the kids are pushing all the buttons there. So that's another question investigators need to answer, is what particularly was he looking for? There was that management firm on that floor. So is that relevant? Is that not? That's what they're looking for answers for today.
Yeah, so he killed several people, unfortunately, when he entered the building. But then when it comes to the elevator, the gunman let a woman walk off the elevator that he entered, just let her walk right past him. Why do you think that is? Do you think that she just got lucky, or was there a calculated decision there on his part?
Well, as a lot of the guests have commented over the past several hours looking at this, he had he was on some kind of mission and was determined to go in somewhere and do something. And so this lady wasn't her time and it wasn't her day. He was focused on some other mission and trying to get to a particular location, it seems, based on the things we know publicly.
Jason,
That's crazy. That is crazy. To know, obviously after the fact, but to know after the fact that you came that close to death. You came that close to death. You walked by it. You walked right past it. She was on the elevator as he was getting on, and he allowed her to just waltz right on by. Man, that's pretty wild. That is pretty wild. Crazy stuff. But, also trying to say, man, I had CTE, so now I'm going to go hurt people. Like, that's just crazy work. And I don't know if that was officially his excuse, but I know that CTE was brought up. That's no excuse to go and hurt people. That's just crazy. That's crazy, but we live in a dangerous world, man. We live in a dangerous world. I'm gonna let this finish, and I'm gonna have a whole lot more to say.
describe the coordination that's happening right now between local authorities in New York City, state authorities, as well as the feds.
That's a good question, Todd. So in New York, the FBI has a squad called CT26. That's the counterterrorism squad. That's the squad that goes out to the New Year's Eve things, and they investigate all the threats in New York City. The most interesting thing about that squad is that they have a member of every department and every agency in New York, from the federal side to the local and state side. So they have members of every department. So even FDNY has somebody represented on that squad. So they're no strangers to each other. And let's face it, the NYPD is the most capable police department in the world, something like 35,000 sworn NYPD officers. There's only 13,000 or so FBI agents in the whole world. So they can provide some kind of resources sometimes that the NYPD may not have, but NYPD is really well-sourced and has a lot of resources. You heard the assistant director, Chris Rea, at the press conference last night, noted that the person was not in any FBI holding, so that's important to know that at least he didn't pop up on their radar anywhere.
I have a friend who works in this building, and she says it's like many others out there where you enter the lobby, you need a key to go through the turnstile, and then need a key to get to the floors, the separate floors when you enter them after you exit the elevator. I'm sure that many people can relate to that very scenario, not just in New York City, but across the country. Do you think that as a result of this shooting, that office buildings will change their basic security because of this?
Well, we saw in some of the pictures on social media the barricading that office members did in some of those offices there. They put couches, everything they could find. You see the photo right there on your screen. They barricaded themselves into the door and make themselves a harder target. That's super important in any type of situation. They apparently that could be evident of some training that some of the companies do now. It's important to be aware of your surroundings and don't hesitate to take action. Even if this would have been something that wasn't, at least you would have been safe. In this case, it turned out they needed to do that.
It looks like the message is getting through. At least there is some tiny silver lining out of all this, but we need to remember there are 4 people who've lost their lives this morning, murdered senselessly, and it's
Man, yeah, that's tragic. That is tragic. You know, my condolences go out to the families affected by this tragedy, man. That is, you know, you never know when it's going to be your day. You never know, you know, when you're going to walk out of your front door and you ain't walking back through it, you know. So tell those you love them. And, man, another thing also, because there was a recent situation as well where a guy apparently was stabbing a bunch of folks. I think he stabbed like 10 people or something crazy. People have to be more aware of their surroundings. To me, it looked like this guy just walked up into the building with gun in hand, just waltzed up right on in. You know, there's so much about this thing that, you know, obviously will come out in time, but people have to be aware of their surroundings, right? And I'm more so thinking about the situation where the guy was, you know, I can't remember what store, maybe a Walmart or something, where he was like in the store stabbing people or in the parking lot just stabbing people. Always be aware of your surroundings at all times. That ain't saying be paranoid. That's not saying be like old boy in the pigeon coop where you're looking around like on Friday, the movie Friday. But be aware. Be aware. Know where your exits are. Know who's walking into the establishment. Never have your back to, you know, your exit. Always face the exit. You know, like there's things that you could do to help ensure that you walk back through your front door the same way that you walked out. And I don't see enough people doing it. I genuinely don't. I don't see enough people doing it. People are so lost in la la land and so completely unaware of what's going on around them. Like, bro, like even when I'm driving, for example, I'm always scanning everything that's around me. So like if a car is coming up behind me a little too fast, like I'll take my foot off the brake and I'll be ready to hit on the gas to, you know, get going so I can get up out of their way. Like even like stuff like that, you know what I mean? Like I'm always aware of my surroundings. Once again, that's not being paranoid. That doesn't mean that when I decide to go out somewhere, I'm not enjoying myself. I enjoy myself, but I'm also making sure I know what's going on. Oh, that guy look a little shady. He came in here with the shiesty mask on. Let me go ahead and start packing up my stuff because he don't look like the kind of character that I want to be around. You know what I mean? Like, but there's a lot of people that would ignore that. Not to say that that's necessarily a bad guy, but I've seen way too many instances where a guy comes in with the shiesty mask, with the full mask on, and something goes left, right? So common sense tells me, well, we're not going to take any chances. You don't get a second chance on life. So let me go ahead and get up on out of here, you know? Or even just like I said earlier, knowing where the exits are. What if that exit is blocked off? What if the entrance is blocked off that you came into and you can't go out there? Do you know where the second exit is? You know what I mean? Like simple stuff. Simple stuff. Making sure you're aware, man. Please be aware of your surroundings at all times. But tragic situation. From what I've heard, this gentleman actually was like a top player from Cali at one point, playing football. So I'm assuming that's where some of the CTE came in that he allegedly claimed or talked about, you know. Actually, I see a headline here that says NY shooter had a, pine box himself note claiming he suffered from CTE. So I'm assuming that's where the CTE came from, him playing football in high school. And he was actually ranked, if I remember correctly, from what I saw. So it ain't like he was like some scrub, you know what I mean, out there playing football. Like, he was actually ranked. But even still, like, to use CTE as a excuse to go and do something tragic like this is just unacceptable. Unacceptable. And once again, to all the folks who are going to say, see, this is why we need to take away the guns. We got to get rid of the guns. The gun isn't the problem. It's always the person. If you set a gun down in front of you, if nobody touches it, it's not going to decide to hop up and start doing some damage. If we had that logic with everything, then we'd get rid of cars. People die with vehicles. We'd get rid of knives, right? We'd get rid of scissors. We'd be getting rid of so many different things. People die because they drink too much water. Yes, if you didn't know, you can actually die from drinking too much water. That's a real thing. So should we just get rid of water too? You know what I mean? So like, let's not start with that nonsense, because we're not doing that. And then on top of that, you take away all the guns from the good guys, and now all the bad guys who are criminals, now they just get to have them. Yeah, that's a horrible way to run a society. That's a great idea. You know, now the bad guys know nobody else in these homes have weapons. Oh, we can just waltz right on in. What are they gonna do? Fight me with a baseball bat? Doubt it. Fight me with a knife? Can't do it. You know what I mean? Like, so no, we ain't gonna start that debate here. Nope, not today. But y'all get in the comments, man. Let me know your thoughts and your opinions on this. But tragic situation. Obviously, more information will come out as the days go by, and I'm definitely interested to learn the backstory of all of this, because this just seems so random. Like, I've heard he's from like Nevada or Cali or something. He's from the West Coast, but went to NYC. Like, you went completely across the country. Did this have something to do with the NFL? Because apparently there's NFL offices at the same building. Did he mean to go there? Was he attempt? Like, there's still so much that we still have yet to learn. So maybe I'll make another video as more information comes out on this whole situation, and we'll bust it down. But as always, stay safe. Peace.